The Gang of 4 book introduced 23 design patterns, and right away it groups them into 3 categories. Before you memorize any individual pattern, understanding those 3 buckets gives you a mental map of the entire catalog, so you can navigate it instead of just memorizing a list. When you first encounter the Gang of 4 catalog, 23 patterns can feel like an overwhelming flat list. The categories solve that by sorting patterns by the type of problem they tackle. If you know your problem is about object creation, you only need to look at 5 patterns, not all 23. The category is the first filter, and it saves a lot of time. Imagine constructing a house with 3 specialist crews. The procurement crew decides how materials are obtained and delivered. That maps to creational patterns. The structural crew decides how beams, walls, and rooms fit together. That maps to structural patterns. The systems crew wires up communication between rooms. That maps to behavioral patterns. Same building, 3 fundamentally different concerns. Creational patterns are about instantiation. They hide the details of how an object comes into existence. Structural patterns are about composition. They describe how you assemble small pieces into larger, more capable structures. Behavioral patterns are about collaboration. They define who does what and how objects talk to each other to get work done. These 3 concerns really are orthogonal, which is why the split holds up so well. At the top we have a creational example, a factory function that decides which logger subclass to instantiate. The caller never calls new directly, creation is delegated. In the middle, the adapter is structural. It wraps a legacy logger behind a new interface so incompatible parts can work together. No new objects are created, just composed differently. At the bottom, strategy is behavioral. The printer holds a reference to a format strategy and delegates the formatting algorithm to it at runtime. Same logging domain, 3 completely different kinds of problem solved. Structural and behavioral patterns are the pair developers mix up most often because both involve multiple collaborating objects. The key distinction is this: structural patterns are about the static shape of how objects are wired together. The result is a composed structure with a unified interface. Behavioral patterns are about the dynamic flow of who handles a request and how responsibility is passed around at runtime. Shape versus flow. When you face a design problem, ask 3 plain questions in order. First, is the pain about how objects are born? Too many constructors, hidden dependencies, or needing to swap implementations? That is creational territory. Second, is the pain about 2 things that do not fit together or a structure that is getting unwieldy? That is structural. Third, is the pain about messy control flow, too much coupling between collaborators, or unclear responsibility? That is behavioral. Follow the question that gets a yes. The 3 Gang of 4 categories are not arbitrary. They reflect genuinely different kinds of design pressure. When you feel pain around object creation, look at the 5 creational patterns. When you feel pain around how components connect, look at the 7 structural patterns. When you feel pain around who does what and how objects talk, look at the 11 behavioral patterns. Every video in this course will tell you which category a pattern belongs to. Now you know exactly what that means.